Joining me now is Chatham House Russian expert and author of Russia's War on Everyone, Keir Giles. Keir, thank you very much for joining us here on TalkTV. We're learning about this story breaking, and of course, Jay has just brought us the statement by British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. What more can you tell us about this developing story?
Well, not a great deal at the moment, because as you heard, the cause of death is not established, and it probably never will be to anybody's satisfaction. When opponents of Putin die, the chances of really understanding what actually happened to them are very, very slim indeed, just like with Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin last year. But the one thing we can say is this should not have come as a surprise to anybody, including, of course, to Navalny himself, because Russia tried to kill him once, and then he chose to go back for more. So in some ways, this was an inevitable tragedy playing out.
And of course, he returned to Russia in January 2020 to go back as leader of the opposition, a very brave thing to do, because he was certain when he did that his arrest would follow, imprisonment, and eventually his death, as you say. With elections this year, is there anyone within the opposition movement who we may see step forward now to contest those elections for the opposition?
Absolutely not. The elections, calling them elections in Russia is a little misleading. And Russia has moved over the last few years from controlling the opposition to actually eliminating it altogether. And one of the symptoms of that, of course, is the fact that Russia has purged very effectively everybody that could have stood in opposition to Putin. Where the opposition figures, where people that actually have an apparent disagreement with Putin do emerge, they're not allowed to progress through to the actual competition in the election. We had a possible candidate called Boris Nadezhdin recently, who was amassing signatures so that he could go on the ballot, was disqualified when it looked as though he was getting sufficient support. So with all of this, we shouldn't be thinking that there is any kind of realistic opposition in political terms to Putin within the country.
So with these sham elections that they're organising for later this year, with all opposition effectively purged, as you say, it does give credence to the description that we've heard both the Foreign Secretary, David Cameron, and the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, describing Putin as a dictator or even an elected dictator. He may be elected, but they're not real elections, are they?
Well, here too, we shouldn't be surprised, because this has been the direction of travel for Russia for some time. It's moving back into its historical comfort zone of a totalitarian, repressive regime at home, where it murders its opponents without qualms, and also an aggressive country that carries its wars abroad and murders people beyond its borders too, without a thought for its international reputation. We've seen this before repeatedly throughout history, and we've been saying for some time that things are likely to get worse before they get better.
Keir, thank you so much for joining us. Fascinating to have your update.